What is up, everyone? The Vibe Koga here, coming with another What If. I'm gonna just say this as simply as possible because I get tired of, having to explain something that it should kind of just be obvious. If I don't feel like posting, I won't post. And whatever I feel like posting, I should post. You know, I make attempts, and if they don't always work out, they don't always work out. I'm not gonna force everything to just go if it don't go that way. But it is what it is. That being said, attempt number 4 out of What If today. And shit, my guy. Just let's do this. What if Yuji went to UA? Yuji Itadori is our ninth user of One For All. His quirk was still called Divergent Fist since it's just the easiest one to do. A punch that has a delayed reaction, a delayed second effect, a double impact. There's already someone in Class 1B who has that, but Itadori is also really physically strong. And, a second hit of One For All after being hit by One For All Might couldn't pass that up to, hit for a successor. But that's later on in life. You see, let's go to how Izuku is Izuku Shimura opposed to Izuku Midoriya. In this timeline, Nana Shimura had a daughter rather than a son. So I'm just gonna change where, we still have Tomura Shigaraki, but he's just a kid who, All For One found, and he just grew to hate All Might rather than, oh, this turned out to be the granddaughter of your master, All Might. Ha 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 ha. No, nah. Instead, no. Nana did give up her daughter, and Inko would later find out that, through hairstyle and the fact that their quirks are kind of were similar in this timeline, Nana Shimura could float herself and other things up and then push them away. Inko, however, could, make herself not float, but she can make other things come towards her, as if they were drawn to her, rather than things being weightless and being pushed away from her. Now, she finds out of her family lineage. She would meet Gran Torino, explain everything, and she's not mad. She did get adopted and everything, but, she wants to carry on the name Shimura. That is her actual birth given name. Her mother might not have wanted her to keep her safe, but, Inka would place a hand over her stomach. Gran Torino would be like, so, you're pregnant? She would nod. She's saying she had met a young man. He was nice. They had a nightstand, and then, well, even though he disappeared, and this is what caused Inko to, start questioning what was wrong with her and all this good jazz, she just kind of wanted some shit. Some sense of normalcy and trying to figure out who she was. Found out about, Nana Shimura. Turns out to be her mom. Her mom was a pro hero. She never wanted to be a pro hero, but, when Izuku was in the womb, and it was just coincidental, but Inko took it as a sign. When she found, a note, not a note, but a photo of Nana Shimura as a hero, and it was just like, fucking hell, not my attention. I didn't mean to yawn, sorry. As, she's just like, so this was my mom. And then, Izuku just like moves a little bit. So she's just like, oh, so do you want to be a hero too, little one? She smiled. She had that faint thought. It's just like, so what? Is it just gonna skip a generation? She got worried, and then she's just like, you know what? Nah. If my son wants to be a hero, he'll be a hero. So, as time progresses and, Izuku's born, on his right forearm, there's this weird birthmark that you would see on his, forearm, on the thumbnail. You see, his father wasn't just a normal dude that Inko, slept with for the night. No, in this timeline, this guy would have been our Orochimaru-like figure who liked to body snatch. This was his own method of obtaining more power, more quirks, stuff like that. And when, he wasn't like at the beginning with All for One, and he was someone who, he met slowly before he took. One more time. He had met this figure who we'll call Kabuto rather than Orochimaru, because it's not necessarily Orochimaru, and it makes sense if I just don't call him Orochimaru. So Kabuto was the right hand man of All for One. He had his own body snatching technique. He was able to steal 6 different people's, vessel, body hopping, body hopping, body hopping. And then the last one, he knocked up Inko before his time limit was up. But he never got to take a body since, All for One found him. And it's just like, I'm still a little bit salty that you're the one who snitched to All Might on where I was, and this is why my face is like that. So I'm gonna let you die, because fuck you. So yeah, Kabuto, he couldn't get another body in time. But the 6 bodies that, were, stolen from, he was able to incorporate their quirks into him. Yes, into his new body. This new body has new cells that become sperm cells that, fertilize one of Inko's eggs, and, well, yeah, that mark formed. You see, one more time, I hate mucus. As, yeah, no, the marking was what Kabuto's, pretty much crime logo was. Everyone has their own thing, how the Yakuza has their thing, and then the League of Villains is their own thing. Yeah, no, this was their representation, their stamp, if you will. Okay, now, I know it looks like the cursed seal of heaven and earth, but I'm not going to give him curse mark powers. He's not going to have jutsu. That's in a different one that if you want to see, let me just, right here. What if Deku gave himself superpowers? That one we can go with Deku being his own version of a body snatcher. Oh shit. Yeah, so you can see. And so you can see I'm not fucking with y'all. These are thumbnails. I'm gonna just be, going through quick as shit. Alright then. See? So y'all know I'm not against y'all. What was it? Alright. As this is where one of the things that are unique. You see, the bodies that were stolen were, within a certain characterization that was for experimentation. You see, the first body he took had a blood manipulation quirk. She could cause her blood to pump faster, like blood doping. She could cause it to, protrude out of her skin, but it couldn't harden. Rather, she could shoot it out at high pressures, like blood bullets. But, she would lose blood as a result, and, yeah, also, the blood was warm. She could actually heat up her own body temperature with her blood. So she could pressurize and heat up her blood to do burn damage like that, but her body wasn't strong enough for that. He then sought out another person, one who could do body modification, regenerate, grow limbs, because he had this unique starfish like regeneration. It's similar to how a starfish could just rip off an arm and then it could grow its body back. Yeah, that it's pretty much that starfish body regeneration type shit. But then he realized something important throughout his crusade. I took off my shoes. That's what was that love that was. Um, during his crusade, he found out that even though he could regenerate his body and he could shoot out these blood hot bullets, his bones would still be brittle and break. So he found a bone manipulation quirk, one that gets stronger. It improves with more calcium. Got my back to pop. Nice. As yes, if you want to know where these abilities are coming from for inspiration on this, it is the Dark Triad from Black Clover. So the Zangratis siblings, I think that's what they were called. So, Vonica, Zenon, and Dante's abilities now belong to Izuku. Now, what are the other abilities? Well, those are the devil abilities that I'm getting to. which I guess I do have to mention this now. Megicula's curse magic, I'm just gonna switch out with a different one. So, yeah. Let us begin. So, the other thing that Dante had was gravity magic. So, the ability to manipulate gravity is now also Izuku's, since that's another body that his dad stole. He stole this guy who could manipulate gravity, make things 100 times heavier or weightless, and everything in between, accelerate. My bad. Whew. Accelerate gravity's speed and momentum, change its course, warp space itself, pretty much. And then there was not the third, the fifth one, the fifth body that was taken, one who could open up portals, spatial domain. Ability to manipulate space rather than just the gravity that can distort space. The guy was getting creative with what powers he wanted. So he got one that, just happens to open portals. Now, this is also going to be, in a sense, something kind of fun when it comes to Izuku. You see, his spatial abilities can negate other spatial abilities. What do you mean? So, Black Hole and Korogiri's, Warp Gate, because they manipulate space, and Black Hole also manipulates gravity by an extension, Izuku can just nope them off. So Kurogiri could make his portal, spread his body out. Izuku would stick out his hand, force open a portal of his own to neutralize Kurogiri's mist vapors, causing him to, actually feel pain, because to him, it's his body that's stretching out, and Izuku's effectively just erasing it from existence. So, it's like putting your hand through a food processor for Kurogiri, in a sense, when he is going to go to the US trip. But that's later, so, just some fun things to look forward to. As now the sixth and final ability. You see, this one, I was just like, should I go with poison? Nah, because that don't really work with me. You see, I have three body modifications. I have gravity that is strong enough to distort space. Space itself now. What am I missing? Time! But wait. Nah, that'd be Julius Nova Krona. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to do that. That'd be a different what if. Now, instead, I thought, well, Zagrid was the Kotodama devil word soul, so he would speak his things, and thanks to Jujutsu Kaisen with their curse speech user, it gives a good example of what happens when you overuse it. You would spit up blood, or if the person's just too strong, it barely does anything. Which then I thought, nah, too much to the other cheated Deku I have. Which, yeah, that one's still coming back. Don't worry. Just, to be honest, on the cheated Deku, I only have like enough creativity to make it one more, and then it'd probably end. And well, if it's over, it's over. But fine, if y'all want the ending, then the ending will be coming. Giggity. Okay, back to the order. The sixth and other ability that I thought would be perfect to replace Megicula's curse magic is, in a sense, something else that had to do with, space, dimensions, stuff like that. Rather than just pocket dimensions, it's pretty much like Yami Tsukuhiro's darkness. So, yeah, Izuku in itself, this weird dark aura can be released off of him that he can use freely. He uses it in tandem. He could use it similar to how Black Whip would be from his hands, but his overall bones, he could combo it with that. As, yeah, it was kind of weird. Mark is ready. Now, as time progresses, Izuku, he gets a hold of these powers, and it was really weird seeing a child have multiple powers. When Inko first took Izuku to the quirk doctor, she was thinking, just show him your most favorite one. The rest we'll keep a secret. Mostly because, she realizes my mom was a hero, and Gran Torino said she had this thing called One for All that stockpiled powers, and now my son has multiple powers. Sure. That's not gonna raise suspicions. I'm just gonna have to, tell my son to hide your stuff until you're older and you can protect yourself. As that's kind of what happens. So Izuku would show off the fact that he has the darkness, just darkness, rather than gravity and spatial. Now, whenever he does use his dark energy, the dark, not mana, but just the darkness in general, as it protrudes from his body, though there's no gravity or pressure, Izuku realized that he could chalk it up to, him using some gravity because of, the darkness is pulling everything in. He's condensing it down, kind of like a black hole, which inadvertently is how he created the move Black Hole, which, yeah, his mom was surprised. So, one day when Izuku was about 7 years old, him and, we would go with the fact that him and Bakugo would still be somewhat cool now. You see, Izuku and Bakugo aren't really getting along like they used to. Granted, they were pretty good, kids, but some shit is they're starting to drift off. Bakugo's explosions, they're getting stronger and stronger, but, Izuku's darkness legit just eats up all of Bakugo's explosions, so, even if Bakugo wanted to try and fight Izuku with explosions, Izuku could just raise his hand, coat it with darkness, and then protrude it outwards to eat and tank all of the explosions. And then what surprises the fuck out of him is then Izuku would not raise up his hand, but he would rush him. His hand that was still coated in darkness would then proceed to launch that same explosion right back at him. Bakugo would be confused on how Izuku did that, and Izuku saying he's just storing it within the darkness, within himself now. Which, it doesn't really get the two really friendly, I guess you could say. Bakugo kind of calls Izuku a villain for this, and, he points out how Izuku has this villainous quirk about darkness, and how he was able to steal his explosion and then use it right back at him. But then Izuku points out, you're the one with explosions in the first place. You yourself are a walking weapon. A bomb that, with a very horrible temper. At this point they're kids, so they're going to start saying some shit. Bakugo goes off on Izuku saying, you only have a mom. Your daddy didn't even want you. Shit like that. And, Izuku's just like, yo, daddy's a little pussy. I go, yo, dad don't do shit. Your mama says do anything, and he's just like, yes, dear, yes, ma'am. He's like a scared little chihuahua, and you're Let me try that one more time. He's like a scared, timid little chihuahua. You bark like a Pomeranian, and you're ugly like a pug, and your mama's the only baddest bitch I've ever seen. Bakugo and him, they start to get into more heated arguments, which ends with, our good boy Yuji being the one who tries to separate them. Izuku realizing that Yuji has a point here. They're not supposed to be arguing. They both want to be heroes, and this is not, like, some good shit to be doing. But Bakugo is just, fuck you. Tries to throw an explosion at Yuji's face, which everyone was shocked at because a portal opened that ate Bakugo's hand, and a portal behind Yuji's head opened, and Bakugo's hand spat out, and then the explosion shot out. Everyone was confused, but then, there was something unique that one person noticed, and that was the fact that Izuku's right forearm birthmark, it had grown, evolved. What do you mean? Well, they straight up said, it's glowing. Izuku's just like, wait, what? He then realizes, shit, I'm using more power than I should have. Everyone's just like, wait. What do you mean you're using more power? And Izuku's just like, shit, I said that out loud. As everyone's just like, wait, you can open portals? I thought your ability was darkness. Izuku, quick on the spot, ready to lie. He's just saying, true, but, you know, he just quickly mentions how earlier he used his bare palm to take the darkness into his take the explosion into his darkness. So it takes him a while, and it takes a lot more concentration, and it's not really perfected. This is just kind of more out of reflex, protecting someone. He points to Yuji, as Izuku straight up says, it's just, rifting portals in darkness, since his darkness seems to be its own space, its own thing. Izuku equivalents it to dark matter, which no one really knows what dark matter is, since they're too young. But Izuku's saying it's the other space in the universe. There are the stars, and then there's the darkness. The darkness is what holds the light. Everyone gets kind of weirded out, except for Yuji, because Yuji's just like, yo, that is so cool. The two quickly grow to be friends after this point on. Izuku and Bakugo don't really talk to each other, and some things are happening. You see, Gran Torino, who had recently contacted All Might about, meeting Nana Shimura's daughter, and, she was having a son, so if you're still needing a, successor, my guy, your master, grandson or daughter, actually, as far as I know, the mama is single, so, Gran Torino makes this joke to All Might, and All Might's just like, I can't, just no, fear and respect out of Nana. So yeah. Now, this is where things get interesting. You see, All Might would visit them, and it gets kind of weird, because he shows up in a Small Might form, and when Inko's just confused on why there's this skinny man who's here to talk to her, Izuku and Yuji, they're playing in the living room. I was about to say Izuku's room. They're like, nah. They're playing in the living room. And here's the thing. All Might apologizes, and he introduces himself, Toshinori Yagi, as, he asks to come in because he knew, he was the student of Nana Shimura. This would cause Inko to, let him in. All Might reveals himself to be All Might, buffs up as Yuji, Izuku, apeshit, just like, All Might's here, and All Might's just like, oh shit, you have kids. Wait a minute, I thought you have two? Inko's just like, oh no, this is Izuku, and this one's his friend, Yuji. He's just like, what's up, All Might? Hello, Mr. All Might, sir. Yuji's the Mr. All Might, sir, and Izuku's was like, sup? As, things very casual, but very friendly. All Might meets Izuku, and, he caught a glimpse of Izuku's right forearm, and he asked Izuku, and Inko, has Izuku been always been born with that mark, by the way? They would nod, and, Izuku's just like, why? Do you recognize it, Mr. All Might, sir? As, he's being more respectful because this man knew his grandmama. So, yeah. Plus, if he got training from his grandmama, that kind of makes All Might like his uncle, which he points out, and, Inko and All Might, they're like, So he's already okay with All Might being close. Inko's just like, he bulked up. I wonder what else bulks up. Jokes aside, Inko, All Might, Yuji, and Izuku all are just there when Izuku gets the background information about exactly who made that marking famous, and The guy stole people's bodies and their powers, and then Izuku says, wait, is that why I have multiple abilities? Come again, you say, says All Might. As, Izuku shows off the blood, the bones, the body, the portals, the gravity, the darkness, and Yuji's just like, what the? As Izuku's just like, he was planning on telling Yuji, just here in a minute, too. Especially because Yuji's a very trustworthy friend. Izuku believes that Yuji could keep his secret from him, especially because, turns out, hey, my grandma was a pro hero. Oh shit, that's cool. Yuji would explain his quirk, and it's strange. He gets the power up fist and how it does this delayed punch, and he's already freakishly strong. But here's where things get different. You see, All Might, who would ask, Izuku if, is this something he interests him? Izuku would say, but he already has so many abilities. And then he looks at Yuji, and Yuji, who only has one, he could feel Yuji's glumness because, he's a good friend. He could just tell when his friend is sad, not just empath or quirk abilities. He just knows when his friend is sad. As, he's just saying, but what about Yuji? Everyone's just like, Nane? Izuku then points out, well, if Yuji's quirk is to give a second hit after the first hit, that's like 2 of your punches and 1 of his, All Might. All Might's just like, I mean, yeah. Yeah, you kind of right. And then he'd be even stronger, right? So it'd be more like 3 of your punches and 1 of his, and then another punch. As in, Yuji's just like, Izuku, I don't think that you could just tell Mr. All Might how to, All Might's just like, haha, brilliant idea, plucks out a hair, gives it to Yuji and saying, here, young Yuji Itadori, this is actually much more. You seemingly have a quirk perfect for this. Mr. All Might, sir, do I have to eat your hair? Izuku's snickering as, he finds this funny. Sometime later, we time skip about, 7 years. 7 years with Yuji having One for All. Harnessing its power, learning slowly but surely, and Izuku going on record with his, multiple quirks. It was told to Nezu and some of the UA teachers that there are 2 students that Izuku, in the names of Izuku and Yuji, that are under All Might's recommendation. One, because one is, apparently the grandson of his master, and happens to be the son of All for One's right-hand man. They're like, wait, what? And who wants to be a hero? Yeah. Dad nowhere to be found for years. In fact, Mama just says, one night stand. Next morning, he gone. No idea what happened. Okay, what about this other guy, Yuji? All Might, says that's his personal pick for, the one to replace him in the future. Everyone's just like, what do you mean? All Might goes into talk about how Yuji has this amazingly blue, dark aura around him whenever he wants to use his quirk. You see, All for One, not All for One, but One for All mixed with Divergent Fist to make All for Fist, and pretty much, here's where things get kind of fun. Not only does Yuji's blow get more impacts later on, the multiplier was changed. So not only is there a second impact, it is a 6th impact after the first one. So Yuji could hit once in someone's chest, and then around that blow, 6 other punches would form, shocking them backwards. So Yuji created the 7 fist technique in that one, which was kind of fun, he thought it was pretty cool because he realized the 7th one was Izuku's, grandma, and when he started to float, things got kind of interesting. That's right. Yuji actually awakened float before Black Whip because I'm changing some stuff. So, yeah, no, Yuji could even fly. He now has multiple, impact hits and super strength. Izuku had gained full control, also has something hidden up his sleeve when it comes with his gravity, his spatial, and his darkness. Then he also has the body modification stuff too, but that's just for fun. As we now go forward, it would be the day of the testing exams. Yuji and Izuku would go in, do the written exam, Izuku getting a higher score than Yuji by a significant amount. Yuji more physically tactical, if you will. He's a battle genius, while Izuku is more of a I think before I act. Yuji's just like, as I act, I shall think. So, they're pretty good with each other, actually. They're really good counters. Now, I've not really decided a ship for Yuji, so I'll let y'all, work on that. But, actually, let's just go to a poll? Nah. Yeah, sure, why not? We'll go into a poll. As, like I was saying, Yuji and Izuku, they go to the written exam, they pass, and, well, here's where things get interesting. You see, Izuku, he wanted to take the practical, go through the robots like everyone else, but almost just like, dude, you would destroy every robot, not leave anything for anyone. Izuku's just like, you're not wrong. That was a pretty fun interaction with them. So, as things progress, let's see, who else? Jiro. Fem Shoto. And sure, Kimi. Okay. Now that is done, and, well, I'm working on this right now. Betskis, as I'll check back to that here in a minute. So, yeah, no, there's some scenes here. You see Izuku and Yuji, they walk up. They're looking around at the competition, and Izuku recognizes one person right off the bat. Now, he goes up to this person, sticks out his hand, and, well, the person looks at him, smiles, and then jumps in his arms. As Izuku's just like, oh, okay, hey, Shoto. Yes, female Shoto, and I'm just gonna go with Shoto. Yeah. Shota. We'll just go with Sho. Yeah, sure, why not? As, female Shoto Todoroki, or just Sho, hugs Izuku as, the two know each other. Now, how are they friends, you might ask? Especially because Todoroki's supposed to be, a dick. Well, you just take the simple fact that Izuku is not a dick, and the fact that, well, during one of his days at, training at Dagobah Beach, he wanted to test something really, really special. And that is to make a portal and go as far as he can, make a portal to his outside limit and, reach the distance. So he had, his phone, at Dagobah Beach, and then he was going to open a portal, step out, and then on his watch, see, the distance. He pushes it to the very outside. He steps out of the city. He's about 300 miles away. And then, out of nowhere, a giant iceberg about to crush him. Izuku uses his gravity magic, or gravity ability, my bad, breaking the ice, causing it to, fly upwards. And, Well, Sho is just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Izuku's just like, my bad. I didn't realize anyone was here. I just kind of was using my, a quirk to see my range. It all goes into this yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm actually the grandson of a famous hero. She died a while back, but hey, and then she's just like, oh, I'm the daughter of Endeavor. Endeavor, why does he always look like he's like burned his butthole with too many jalapeno peppers? Which, shows just like, like that anime laugh that they do. This just like the overly just laughing one. The same thing that Uraraka did when she saw how many glasses Ida had. So, she's just like, as she starts giggling and laughing. And then she realizes what she's doing is then she looks at Izuku and she's just like, how did you... Izuku's just like, what? She's just like... She starts thinking about it. Like her whole mind just like erased Endeavor for like a minute. Because she was just having fun. And Izuku's just like, oh, I get it. You never got to be yourself then. She looks at him weirdly, as Izuku's just like, here, let me better explain. Since you're always dealing with your dad's standards and all that bullshit, finding someone who can relate to you in some sort of way is probably eye-opening and very refreshing. Which is why you probably think, oh, this guy's pretty cool. Or, oh, I'm not gonna throw another ice spike at him. Or, oh, I'm gonna give him my number so we can start texting more often and see how our friendship goes. As she blushes as she does. The two actually do get along, and one thing that was like the ultimate like dream package killer for Sho was the fact that Izuku prefers hot soba over cold soba, which ruined everything for him. Well, Yuji? Pretty sure it said Yuji. A tie for now. What was his tie? Jiro and Fem Shoto. Well, let me see. Nominate lover for suit. Well, it looks like it's gonna be, Fem Shoto. That's weird. It says 4 comments, but I only see 3. Fuck. The only thing that really killed, Sho's love for Izuku to be a full bridal passion like a burning 1,000 suns was the fact that he prefers hot soba over cold soba. Which she's just like, I can't slurp your noodles now. As, Izuku's just like, what now? She's just like, never mind. You're wrong on your soba choice, by the way. Which, Izuku's just like, God, you sound like Yuji. Who's Yuji? Oh, I'll introduce you later at UA. During the entrance exams. And sure enough, Izuku's just like, hey, Sho, this is Yuji. The guy I told you about. The one who, is probably your dream guy in disguise. As, she blushes and turns hella red. As, Yuji's just like, Izuku. As, he bows in front of Sho. And he's just saying, nice to meet you. I'm Yuji Jitori. And she's just saying, it's okay. Izuku's talked a lot about you. Izuku just, tilts his head, not Izuku, but Yuji tilts his head as he's just like, he doesn't really say much about you, though, does he? As, Izuku's now in the hot seat. So when they go to turn to him, they're surprised that, he's over there talking to some other girl with black hair and, her hair's in a ponytail. And just something, really irritating to both Yuji and Sho is the fact that then they get a text and it says Lovebirds group chat and it is a simple one that Izuku's created a group chat, and then the other one, Izuku has left the group chat, as now it's just saying lovebirds. As they look over to Izuku, and he looks over to them, he smiles, as the two are just like, so, nice to meet you. Now, because of how things are going to go, it's pretty simple to say that Uraraka won't be making it to Class 1A since not enough. But, don't worry. Round Cheeks gets moved on to, general studies, so not too bad. Her and her boyfriend Shinzo are going to have some hatred towards Class 1A because, their quirks aren't combat based, but they still can do good. They still have this driving sense to want to help people, and here society is telling them, no, y'all not good enough to be good heroes. Fuck out of here. That bullshit. Now, Izuku, who meets Momo, they're talking up. Izuku and Momo, Izuku goes off of the fact that they have something very similar. That's the fact that they have some sort of quirk that uses their body. Momo, who has to create things, Izuku shows that, protrudes bones out of his nails. No, not out of his nails, out of his knuckles, like claws, like Wolverine claws. Makes a bone spike. His spine protrudes like an Allosaurus. He starts to cause the blood in his veins to bulge out, turn red. His skin turns red. He starts bulking up and shifting his body in very different arrays of intricate systems. His hands morph, shifting and melding to make other weird fleshy like structures, and then reform into his regular hand, which, Momo is kind of creeped out by, but then, he even explains that that's just the half of the quirk. Half? What's the other? Izuku explains it's this weird darkness that it has a double effect. Which she's just like, double? What do you mean, double? As he releases his darkness, saying with the darkness, if he condenses it, he can cause it to make things heavier. Like gravity, increasing the gravity in certain things, and then there's also the fact that, he he places his hand in his shadow, as he's saying he can travel into the darkness, and not only that, but he can store things within the darkness within himself, which Momo was confused about. And so, Deku, a little dark ring forms on his chest. He sticks his hand into it, pulls out a giant gallon of juice, as, he's just saying, see? And then he just puts it back into his body, which, Momo was just like, what the fuck? That is just... Izuku's just like, trippy, right? As, she nods. Izuku chuckles as he's saying, sorry if it's kind of creepy. She then, goes into the basics of her quirk, and Izuku goes like full-on nerd, explaining how he thinks that's so cool, how she's turning energy into matter, and that's just that's no small feat. Technology can't do that yet. That's fucking awesome. That's no quirk, that's a goddamn superpower. That is a super duper superpower. And Momo blushes. She's just like, it's nothing special. It's just, no. I have to eat a lot anyway. And Izuku's just like, you don't really show that you eat a lot. You're really fit. You're really, well built. And, Momo, she blushes as, then she's like putting two and two together. So he's checking me out. But why am I not mad that he's checking me out? She looks at him as she asks, so you think I'm... she blushes a little bit as she's saying, do you think I'm pretty? Izuku's saying, absolutely, you're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen here. As, Sho hears this, and she's just like, why does that piss me off? Well, I had a small crush on him, but, she's getting like, So there's this, like... Yuji's just like, he feels the cold shoulder as he sees, frost forming from Sho, as he's just like, are you okay? Did Izuku do something to piss you off? She's just like, no, it's just, I don't know why it bothered me when he said she's one of the prettiest ones he's ever seen. Yuji's just like, well, I don't know, I think you're a lot cuter than she is. You know, she blushes as, in this timeline, I'm going to switch the height of Momo with Uraraka. So Uraraka is one of those really, really tall girls. And yeah. Sho, however, is also one of those really, really tall girls who happens to have a large posterior. A big junk in the trunk, lots of booty, if you will. And Yuji is low-key becoming a pirate hunter, as, jokes aside, here we have something unique. And that is, well, Sho and Yuji, exchanging numbers, slowly becoming more than just acquaintances, if you will. Getting on to the terms of friends, which tests go on, the races happen, and here's one thing's gonna be different. Ianasa, the wind guy, which I might have missaid his name. Anyway, Ianasa, he's no longer in that dark, competitive, moody attitude that he had when it came to, Todoroki and Yuji. However, he does see, Yuji and Izuku already take two girls, and he kind of finds it like those two aren't really good heroes, so he's just like, man, I don't want to be, in a class with the womenizers, so fuck this, I'm gonna go to Shiketsu. That would still happen. As now, one really fun thing I gotta mention is how the 0-pointers are dealt with. Which, there's rumbling happening, everyone's running away. Those who took the practical exams and those who got the recommendations are not on the same league, obviously. But as you have the 0-pointers about to crush some people, no one really stopping in to save anything. It is literally the second right before anyone could, hit the off button for the 0-pointers, when all of a sudden a large portal would appear beneath all of them, as several, just a fuck off cataclysm array of bone spikes are shooting outwards, piercing and stabbing the 0-pointer. All the 4 0-pointers collide into a center point. Everyone who just sees the bones just like breaking 0-pointers and colliding them into this huge explosion, they're looking at how the portals are connected, and then Yuji, Momo, and Sho just turn around to see, Izuku, his fist just casually outstuck into a portal, and, the bones quickly just are retreating back, and it's happening just seconds after this. So he pulls back his fist, the portals close. Those, only 2 people in the monitoring room were able to realize that those bones came from the kid who did that exam. And they're like, so, while he didn't get first place in the race, because he didn't want to, it would be Ianasa who got first place in the race still, but Sho and Yuji, second and third, with the 2 giggling and talking a lot. Which, yeah, for fun. Let's see. And, Best girl genie. Female Decker? Why? I mean, it says Yuji. Okay, so I'm gonna just go with Fem Shoto for the win of the ship. So yeah, you see, you have Aizawa who noticed the bones fucking up everything. You had Urok who was just surprised that this portal of bones protruded, took out the 0 pointer, and then just went back in. She still was trapped under rubble, which no one really helped her. It kind of annoyed her. She had to use her quirk to get the rubble off. She puked, and well, now she's nauseous and has a fucked up ankle. Yeah, nah, just nah. She's gonna be even more salty about the class 1A people, especially when she finds out that the bone guy was Izuku, and how like, hey, you opened a portal to take out the 0 pointers. How come you didn't help me? Only for her to find out I wasn't even taking the test. Wait, what? What? Anyway, you see, here's where things are gonna get slightly different from our canon. You see, you'd still have Bakugo show up, but when Bakugo is there, there's no, Ida to do his blah 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 blah. But why though? Why isn't Ida there? Well, there was a simple thing, and that was Ida got convinced by Inasa, the also wind guy, to pretty much ditch UA. Now, he asked why would he want to ditch the most prestige school of UA. Then he talked about how in the recommendation ones, there were people who weren't even taking this shit seriously, treating it like a joke, and UA letting students in like that shows that they're dropping in standards. And the only school that isn't like that is Shiketsu High, who works on grinding the student to be a hero. So that's excuse me, where they both went off to. Which, sorry if you're an Ida fan, but I guess the Stain arc is going to be a little bit different now. That being said, Yuji would fill in Ida's spot, and then, well, while Uraraka didn't make it, there was room for one other person who just so happens to, find this other, person with spiky teeth attractive. She has green curly hair, and this guy has spiky red hair. He's into very manly things, and she's very, promiscuous. So she'll get him into that manliness, and she's into that manliness too. So yeah, Setsuna, she will also be in class 1A to replace Uraka. That's fun. Now, here's where things are going to get interesting. You see, that means our hero versus villains fights are different. Yes, they are. Practicals don't get that same Uraka score of infinity, since that's not going to be a thing. Rather, it's just Izuku and Yuji going back and forth, tying in first place with the, even score at first place. Izuku could take some with speed, and Yuji has overall strength. Fucking hell. Bakugo, who just even more pissed off. He doesn't get how these two losers are better than him, but that's not important right now. You see, there's this key feature that is just gonna come back to like Bakugo right now. You see, Bakugo, who's already gotten really, really angry and sweaty, he would, try and launch an explosion at someone. And this would have been Yuji. Now, why Yuji of all people? Well, because Izuku is one to, be honest with it. He's ready to scrap with Bakugo. Bakugo, you want to get your ass beat again? Come step up and meet the ground for your umpteenth time. You love to have this intimate relationship with the ground. So, here you go. But then there's Yuji, who never once would ever bother to fight Bakugo. Yuji, who already had way more physical strength than Bakugo, could legit just outrun him no matter what. So, yeah, even if Bakugo tried to make insults, there was one person there who would have Yuji's back whenever Bakugo was barking too much, and that was Izuku. Now, like I said, was Izuku. You see, Izuku in this one was talking to Momo at the moment, so when Yuji just finished getting another higher score in the ball throw than Bakugo, and Bakugo not accepting this, he would go off to throw an explosion. He goes with his sweat, about to launch a, yeah. Sho, who just sees this guy running towards her new, crush, instantly just like grabs him with her right hand, pulling him in, and lifts up her left hand, shooting out a quick fire blast. Which, quick as in she just realized she used her fire to and yeah. The small little fire blast, which, Bakugo was surprised because he's just like, wait, I thought she had ice. So he didn't launch his explosion, but still a fuck ton of sweat on his body that, contact with fire, so boom! An explosion goes off in Bakugo's face, sending him flying back. Sho, she's looking at her right hand, and she's just right hand at her left hand, and she's just saying, "No, I didn't want to use that bastard's power." Yuji's just like, but he sees his right hand being held by Sho as he blushes, and then he's just like, "Is she not noticing this right now?" She's looking at her own hand. Yuji's seeing her other hand open. He already has this hand, and she's focused on that. And he's just like, well, she did just save me, so, he takes the other hand. He's holding both hands as he cups them together, making Sho snap out of her gaze. She looks at Yuji as, she's just like, Yuji, I'm sorry, I didn't realize what I was doing. He's just saying, you are so cool. I didn't know you had both fire and ice. Now you can protect and defend. Sure enough, you can totally he points over to Bakugo, who's just like, as she's just like, no, that was an accident. I'm not supposed to use my father's side. Yuji's just like, that's not your father's side though. That's your power, and you used it to. He turns a little bit red when he says this, as he's just like, you used it to protect me. As she blushes as she realizes she did. She used her fire power to protect Yuji. She asks Yuji, like, is it true that, he likes cold soba? He nods as, she's saying, well, then that's how you thank me, by taking me out to some cold soba tonight? 7? Yuji smiles as he's saying, yeah, sure. As then you have Aizawa wrapping them both up with the binding cloth, yanking them out of their stupor as he's saying, Romeo, Juliet, enough of your bullshit. As they come to the realization that, the rest of the class are staring at them. Sho gets really, embarrassed for the first time in a long time, and she's just like, I was not expecting this. Yuji's just like, I'm so sorry, Aizawa sensei. Aizawa lets them go. He looks at Bakugo as, he's just saying, you got your ass handed to you, so, that's your punishment for now. Do that shit again and I'll kick you out. Bakugo just like, we'll kill you, Yuji. And you're half and half, bitch. As, that time. Yuji just like clenched his fist so tightly that, his aura just all over his body. Just a sudden eruption of Yuji's energy. It would be very similar to how when his cursed energy starts flowing in Jujutsu Kaisen, but just imagine as if it was one for all. As his power starts rising, spiking up little by little, and sure enough, the ground, the dust shakes and rises. Bakugo senses immediate danger as Sho grabs Yuji, calming him down, taking him aside. The two go off. As the school day ends, Izuku and Momo, they go off in their own little venture. Bakugo, who got his shit slapped, is just sitting in isolation. Well, here's where things get interesting. You see, while the League of Villains still has Tomura, I'ma say, has another person there, he's talking with, besides All For One and Kurigiri. This person here, they're not necessarily bad, but due to recently some wrong impressions, they're pretty much selling out other people. What do you mean? Well, here you have Inasa, the wind guy, as he starts to explain why he doesn't like, UA, because they're letting a bunch of superficial bastards in, just venting out. The girl who brought him there, she comes back up as, she hugs him, saying it's okay. There's nothing to worry about. People here will understand, yeah. Shigaraki also explains that he had his previous run-in with horrible heroes who, they didn't do anything to save him. It wasn't until his master came and All For One shows, he's just confused. Like, isn't All For One supposed to be the bad guy? He's saying history wrote the books, from our experiences, Master's not the bad guy. That being said, he just sticks at his hand as All For One shakes it, empowering him with a second quirk. A quirk that would be much more beneficial. Something that he can use in tandem with his wind. And no, it's not going to be fire. But something you can do in tandem with his wind. So, I'll end the what if here. Let this upload, and we'll see how this goes.